said, I'm Shakay. I'm the current president of Inagural. And so for those of you guys who don't know about Inagural and what we do and offer, we are the first student entrepreneurship organization that was founded here at University Park. And we really do take a sense of pride in that because one of our goals is to produce events that otherwise wouldn't exist without the innovation of our members. So just to drop a name, Hack PSU, and now we're here at our inaugural blueStart Festival. And these are the kinds of events that we create that we really hope will live on at Penn State for years to come and will really help to shape the entrepreneurship culture here. So, so to talk a little bit of the ways in which we do help our members. So we do that by fostering an entrepreneurship community that's very centralized, that's not restricted by any one major or any one field, because there's really so much value in all of these unconventional, outside of the box thinkers coming together. And there's something really unique about being able to come together with like-minded peers and to be able to be candid, not only in your thought, but in your being. And so we also help our members by helping them to build their entrepreneurial skills. So we bring in our seasoned speakers, we host different workshops, everything from cryptocurrency to design thinking to how to price a product. Those are just some of the events that we create that we hope will help students to become well-rounded entrepreneurs. And I think it's beneficial to be learning new things at all the time, because knowledge is power, right? And so, sorry, I'm a little nervous. But yeah, so another way in which we help our members is also by providing accessibility to the resources around the ecosystem. So we'll talk a little bit more about some of what you'll see throughout the week, but that is a little bit about Nebrose, and thank you guys all for coming out, and I really hope that you guys go out to all the events this week and really immerse yourselves and take something valuable away from this week. Thank you.
Help me with the slides? Yeah, I got you.
Well, thank you everyone again for joining us today, and I want to run you a little bit about what are going to be the events like this week, right? And we're starting today with our inaugural demo day for blueStart, and basically demo day is going to be an opportunity for all of you guys to listen directly from the founders, the student founders currently at Penn State. What are they building? What problems are they trying to solve? What resources, what programs have they used to reach the stages they are currently at? And most importantly, inspire everyone and let everyone know that it's possible to build a startup here at Penn State. And there's a lot of resources out there, like organizations like Happy Valley VC, or even accelerator programs like Launchpods, and a lot more institutions out there that will help you reach your goals. With that, we're going to have Table Rock Markets present later today, followed by Green Bean, College Prep Project, and Point Keeper. But next slide, I'm going to jump real quick on our second event for the week, which is going to be an entrepreneurial keynote. And the idea of the scheme is really to have two founders, one founder that graduated a couple of years ago and a founder that recently graduated, tell you guys what it was really like and go dive deeper into really what it's like to be a founder at Penn State. And they're going to go over also all the different events, all the different programs they use, all the different resources that we utilize. But most importantly, they're going to teach you, what were the challenges they faced and let you know what's really the easiest way to overcome them, and obviously give you advice and tips. Moving forward, we're going to have Fireside Chats and roundtables on Tuesday. This event is an opportunity for you guys to understand what are all the different career opportunities out there within the entrepreneurship realm. Are you interested in being a founder? Are you interested in being an operator, someone that works with startups? Are you interested in working on a support program such as an accelerator program or an incubator program? Or are you simply interested in maybe investing in startups, right? So we have different folks joining us, everything from a founder to an operator, investor, and support folk, to teach you and let you know what it's really like to be in their shoes, what is their day job like, and what is their motivation to be in this on the roles right now. Beyond that, I'll pass it on here to the idea, the minute pitch, how might be minute pitch, and this is really an opportunity to submerge yourself in some sort of like a workshop environment to look into what are the problems nowadays that you are interested in, and perhaps what are some of the opportunities to develop a solution on it. And you're going to be working with different folks around there. You're going to make teams, and you're going to have the opportunity to experience that first stage while you're building a company, which is identifying a problem and coming up with potential solutions to tackle that problem. Beyond that, we're going to have the Start Your Business Today event, which is going to be run by the Engineering Entrepreneurship Program. And what this is really an opportunity for you guys to actually start a business today. And the example they're going to go through is building a t-shirts, customizing a t-shirts business. You're going to have the opportunity to get free credits from Etsy and actually build a store right there that night and start making money if your designs are quite good. And with that, I'll pass it on to Shakay, who's going to speak on behalf of Inagural on the startup market for Thursday, and then we're going to jump a little bit into what is coming up in the weekend with the tech startups.
Yeah, so just as I spoke a little bit about earlier about Inagral's goal of providing access to resources and guiding people to the resources that will help them in their individual ventures, no matter where you are in your entrepreneurial journey, we want to provide you those resources because there's so many resources here students have no idea about, and oftentimes these resources go unutilized, and I think that's a shame. So that's kind of where blueStart comes in, and that's why we're trying to fill these holes. So if you guys look at these are some of the people who will be present later this week at the Startup Market event. So we're going to have representatives from the ENCLI minor and the CF major. And then we're also going to have Line Launchpad, Launchbells, just a whole bunch of different organizations that will help you to support your venture, whether that's venture capital or an accelerator program. And we also will have representatives from the different student organizations around campus as well. And that is a little bit about what you can expect from the Startup Market later this week. So come on, bring your friends. Now to David.
Lastly, we're going to have a weekend-long hackathon in which Techstars, one of the largest incubator in the world, equivalent to getting into like the Harvard Business School for your startup, is going to be coming, sending representatives, and they're going to be starting you from a pitch all the way to presentation and pitch. You're going to be pitching an idea to your peers, and then you're going to be presenting that idea in front of our lovely judges here. They're going to give you feedback. You're going to get to interact with mentors, some external people that have started startups, people that have invested in startups. It's a really great opportunity for you to meet somebody that's actually a big player in the startup ecosystem nationwide. And with that, we'll go ahead and we'll get into our pitches. So for our first pitch, we will have David Moyer from Greenbean. So everybody give David a round of applause.
Nice job on the slideshow.
Is this the clicker? So, let's see.
Sorry, we're going to give you the stage. So
Awesome, thank you.
no, we're not baby.
So it seems like clicker's not working, so I'll hit the slides for you.
Wait, did you try putting it on that? Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Can everyone hear me? Good? Okay. Well, imagine investing all of your annual income into an asset promising food security. Instead, you lose everything, and you have no money to feed your family. Would you take a 30% chance of risking it all? Hi everyone, I'm David Moyer, founder of Greenbean, and tonight I will be sharing with you all about our solution, a greenhouse climate sensor empowering small-scale farmers. Imagine Rista. She's a small-scale farmer who purchases a greenhouse because it promises 4 times production per square foot of open field farming. However, unbeknownst to Rispa, she must subjectively monitor her greenhouse for temperature, humidity, moisture, pH, all based on her sense of feel and intuition. With lack of technologies, all of her tomatoes begin to perish, and she can no longer afford to keep her greenhouse, let alone feed her family, and they become yet another staggering statistic of food insecurity. RISPA is not alone. In Kenya, 30% of greenhouses are abandoned. That's why we formed an international team who's actively engaged in interviewing greenhouse farmers, installers, and agronomists. Over the past year and a half, we've collaborated remotely, committed to the common vision of innovating a sustainable and equitable future through empowering small-scale farmers to overcome food insecurity. We've innovated GreenBean, which is a greenhouse climate sensor promising to remove the guesswork from greenhouse farming. GreenBean brings this magic through a self-installable device which provides recommendations on how to manage your greenhouse directly to your smartphone. To meet the market challenges of 60% of smallholders using SMS for communication, we provide the same recommendation alerts through text messages. Now, with GreenBean, RISPA and their community are 4 times more productive and 2.7 times more profitable. This provides a sustainable and affordable source of food for the betterment, well-being, and prosperity of their community. Worldwide, there's 513 million small-scale farmers. In Kenya, there's 3.5 million. And we estimate only 1% of them own a greenhouse. And this number is severely limited due to the fear of risk involved in greenhouse farming. Fortunately, there are solutions, but they fail to meet the basic needs of small-scale farmers like RISPA, who account for 80% of food production in developing countries. Imagine only earning $1,000 a year. Could you afford a $500 sensor? Plus, beyond this, they must be installed by a team, limiting their scalability. And they miss out on key ingredients, such as temperature and humidity sensing, which is absolutely critical for greenhouse farming. Knowing that the greatest barrier to greenhouse farming is the upfront cost, we've created a smallholder-friendly revenue model, selling GreenBean at a fraction of the cost of the existing competitors, paired with a subscription service of $5 a month, meeting the needs of a massive untapped market. Here's our proof of concept thus far. Soon, we are developing it for mobile and app support. Right now, we are testing our prototype with Koi League and Penn State Student Farm, and then working with Sote Tule's network of smallholder farmers to begin distribution. From there, we're distributing it through reputable greenhouse installers, agricultural storefronts, and roadside kiosks. We're also collaborating with Farm with Fred, a social media influencer in Kenya, who posts greenhouse farming trading videos to his YouTube and Facebook channel. Fred's eager to be a part of our team's impact through piloting, promoting, and endorsing GreenBean. The moment is now. The global greenhouse industry is valued at $30 billion and only expected to grow 9% annually over the course of the next 5 years. That's why our team's asking for $25,000 to perfect our MVP of GreenBean, and then begin seeking impact investment to scale our business all across developing countries. Please, help us innovate a sustainable and equitable future for empowering small-scale farmers to overcome food insecurity. Thank you.
So, anyone has any questions for David?
Hey, what's your name? Nico, nice to meet you.
Where did you get the idea?
We started this in the HESI class. Are you familiar with the Humanitarian Engineering Social Entrepreneurship minor? So, for anyone who's unfamiliar, this class is absolutely wonderful. It's divided into 5 or so teams of 5 people each, and you work on social impact ventures focused on going to market to impact people in underdeveloped countries, specifically Kenya. So definitely recommend that for anyone involved in here tonight. Anyone else? What's your name?
Yeah, my name's Ruben.
Ruben? Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Ruben.
Yeah, so first question, I got two questions. First question is, how much are you pricing your products, or are you going to be pricing your products? Is it going to be like a subscription model, or will you be continuing to do maintenance?
Yeah, currently we're estimating to sell roughly $100 and then paired with a $5 per month subscription fee. But that's subject to change. Recently we had recommendations to sell to gardeners and other markets in the United States and then have more of a donation model.
Second question is, what's your tech stack?
Yep, so we're using AWS in the cloud computing. That'll be our backend server. To get the data to the cloud, we're using SafeFox technology, which is similar to GSM, which is a telecommunication network, allowing us to transmit anywhere between 8 to 12 bytes of data to the cloud.
Thank you.
Shikay?
Hey, David.
Hey, Shikay.
So David, for anyone who doesn't know, David and I actually well, it was his idea, but we pitched this idea in the Idea Makers Challenge last spring, and we actually took home third place. But a thing that we were considering with the business was an education component in the app, because we understood that the smallholder farmers don't really have access to the education and the resources needed for greenhouse upkeep. So in that time frame, have you found a solution or considered implementing that educational component?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, we met someone through our last accelerator from Ghana. His name is Andrew Akuakua, and he's actually working on a startup bringing that education component to the small-scale farmers through an app-like environment, and then also they might develop their own hardware. They're still hypothesis testing. And what we're going to do is actually implement into their API our technology so that there's the best of both worlds.
Love that. Thank you.
Yep. Hey, what's your name?
Brett.
Brett?
Brett.
Brett.
So I'm curious, are you doing, is your app showing simply readouts from sensors, or are you doing any sort of predictive analytics, or even better, customized recommendations based on what the individual is growing within the greenhouse? Because obviously, depending on what they're growing predominantly, they may have very different recommendations for humidity and temperature in the greenhouse.
Initially, we're going to start with a plant database and have specific recommendations and also allow for user control depending on how they want to specifically engage their specific crop variety. Eventually, we're implementing machine learning algorithms to incorporate the weather data and the sensor data to create those predictive analytics. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe?
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
how large is the market for like a product like this?
So going to market in Kenya, there's 3.5 million small-scale farmers, and worldwide there's 513 million. Starting, we're focusing on the greenhouse farmers, and what we've noticed is there's this fear and hesitancy to embrace greenhouse farming, although it's the solution to truly overcome food security with 4 times production. So we are trying to bring that knowledge of its potential to the market.
Are your units able to be powered by solar means?
Yep.
That's the primary.
With our SafeFox technology, it's wide area networking, but it's also low power. That's the benefit of the technology we're using, to be able to have solar panels.
How many sensors do you need per square feet or per greenhouse?
That's going to be in our initial testing phase. Initially, we're starting with 1 sensor. However, what we plan on doing eventually is having a bunch of localized sensors transmitting through a Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connectivity to a central module to transmit to the cloud.
Do you worry about any broadband issues or limitations to technology within like developing countries, and how are you going to face them?
Actually, our biggest challenge right now is the fact that it's not supported in state college, and we're unable to test it currently. However, in Kenya, the network we're using covers 90%. So anything that's uncovered, they'll actually support us with the technology. And then once we test and validate that it works, we're going to be switching over to GSM, which is much more prevalent all throughout countries. Anyone else?
All right. I think that's it then.
Great pleasure speaking with you all tonight. Thank you.
Together. Of course, man. Thank you for joining us. So with that, we'll have Ethan join us on the stage, and we'll go over the college prep project. A round of applause for Ethan, please.
Can you hear me? Cool. It's my first time using the clicker. This should be fun. How's everyone doing tonight? Everyone's doing well? Cool. I'm happy to be here. Such a pleasure. So my name is Ethan. I run a nonprofit. I'm the founder and CEO. Our nonprofit is called the College Prep Project. So I want to start with this simple question. What change do you want to see in the world? I think when you guys are starting to think about creating a company, I think a lot of people start with the wrong mindset, or just the wrong frame of mind. Maybe you're thinking about how can I make the most money? Or maybe you took the e-design class here and you created a product, and you thought it was really cool and you want to bring it to market. But I want you guys to think about how can you flip that whole concept on its head? How can you ask a slightly different question? And that question is, what change do you want to see in the world? What are the needs out there? What do I want to solve? How can I fix it? So that's kind of the beginning of my story. So I just wanted to tell a little bit about myself, to paint a little picture of kind of what brings me here today. So, first of all, my name is Ethan Nebrose. I'm a psychology and English major here. It's actually my last semester here, sadly. I'll be studying abroad next semester. So the story begins for me right over there. So that's me. That's my older sister, older brother. I actually grew up homeschooled until I was in 6th grade. So I don't know if you guys know too many homeschoolers out there. But we did a bunch of crazy random things. So at one point we were doing Shakespeare performances. So that's me on the far right doing that. We were donating flowers, picking flowers. We were in the middle picture there. I found a picture of us creating the solar system model out of candy. So the reason I have this up here is because the homeschooling experience for me really shaped who I am. It had a really profound impact on how I see education today. Okay, so I want to pause here real fast to mention that none of what we've accomplished is my doing only. I come with a bunch of different people on my side who helped me. So the saying, it takes a village to raise a child, is definitely true in my case. Okay, so I wanted to start. So after I was homeschooled, I ended up in high school, and like most of you in the room, I went to a public high school, and navigating that whole process was very tricky for me, especially because I was homeschooled, but also because my 2 older siblings had dropped out of high school. So by the time I was looking to apply to colleges, I didn't really have that support structure in place. I didn't really know who to ask for advice. And then I went to a public school, so my guidance counselor wasn't very accessible. So it was hard to pin him down and ask him a question. But I ended up working up the courage to go down to his office. And I said, I really need help with this. Do you know any college students who can help? Do you know anyone who maybe went to our high school And he pretty much just looked me straight in the eyes and said, I'm sorry, but we really can't help you. We don't know anyone at the schools you're interested in. So back to that original question I posed for you all, that's a situation that frustrated me and something I wanted to solve. Okay, so flash forward to summer of 2019. I spent a month in India, and this is a picture I took of, we were living in a guest house, and these were some of the school children who were living next to us. And what I noticed in India was that there were widespread disparities in access to education. So if you look at the child literacy rate in India, it's in 2011, it was 82% for girls, or for boys, and 65% for girls. And I think this quote, this African proverb really resonated with me. And it says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So here's some facts that kind of bring this closer to home, because what I realized is that there weren't disparities just in India, there were also disparities here, right here in the US. So, across all schools, the average student to counselor ratio is 470 students to 1, which is nearly the double recommended ratio. In 2019, 69% of white high school graduates went on to college, with just 57% of black graduates. 78% of students who come from the highest income quartile go on to college, while it's just 46% from the lowest income quartile. And this is just a graph that really illustrates what's going on here. So if you look at the y-axis, it's the percentage enrolled in college, and then it does a really nice job tracking the income range of the students. So it's pretty clear to see, but the blue is the high income, green is middle income, and orange is low income. So the trend is pretty clear. Students who come from high income backgrounds are much more likely to enroll in college, and other graphs also show that they're much more likely to succeed as well. Okay, so Tom's Shoes, I don't know if you all have heard of this model and his company. So basically the whole idea behind Tom's Shoes is that basically they launched the concept in 2006, I believe, and it made them massively successful. And that concept was, for every pair of shoes that we have, we're going to donate a pair for free to a child in need. So while the model has some flaws, the whole concept really resonated with me. Because as a consumer, I think it's really profound and powerful to know that for everything I'm going to buy, that my money is going to a good place. So, what if we could apply, this is a thought that came to my mind, what if we could apply an idea from the fashion industry, which has been replicated in other types of products too besides Tom's Shoes, what if we could bring that to the education sector? And that's exactly what we've done with the College Prep Project. So for every one student we help one low-income or underserved student, and we do that by partnering with Title I schools, which are schools in low-income areas, and we work directly with their guidance counselors to help identify students who are in need of our help. So our process, you're probably wondering what is it that you actually do? So our process is pretty simple. First of all, we find successful college students, we train them as mentors, and then we find high school students in need of help, and we pair the two up. So what do our mentors do exactly? So everything works remotely, which has really benefited us, because we're able to reach students who might otherwise not have access to the resources. Because there's not just disparities here in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey, the disparities are across the United States. So our mentors help the high schoolers locate the right colleges, apply for scholarships, review college application essays. These are just some of the many options. Okay, so what separates us? First of all, let me talk about the market right now. because I know there's maybe some finance people in the room. And I actually have to look this statistic up for myself. But pretty much the education consulting industry is valued at $2.2 billion, and the average private college consultant is charging about $200 an hour, which is pretty crazy. But what separates us is that our mentors are college students with fresh experience. We're literally in it. We've just gone through the college application process. Secondly, we are well connected. It's not just that we know our high schools, and we know a lot of high schools, but we also are well connected to other college students. I'm sure all of you know a bunch of college students at different campuses. And thirdly, we believe we have a sustainable business model. And the reason for that is because we're a nonprofit, I think it's really easy to become dependent on grant funding. But what we do differently is that because we have a stream of revenue coming in from high-income families and we're able to redistribute that, that allows for a much more sustainable business model. Okay, so I wanted to track our growth really fast, just to give you an idea of where we're at. So in August of 2020, we were given a 501c3 status from the IRS, and I'm not sure if you all are familiar, but that process takes about 3 to 6 months. In September, we were featured on ABC 13 News. In November, we began the 15-week-long Happy Valley Launch Class program, which was a really great experience for us. In December of 2020, we were awarded a $120,000 grant from Google for advertising. And those are all accolades, and I'm not so impressed with accolades, especially since we're a socially driven company. I think what's much more impressive is the impact we're having. And I think it's easy to look at these numbers and say, okay, only 30 students, but if you talk to the students we've helped, you'll see that we've had an impact. So it's not necessarily the quantity, it's really the quality of the mentorship that matters. So we partner with multiple high schools. We've mentored over 30 students one-on-one through Zoom across the country. We've helped students raise over $25,000 in scholarships. We've supported over 500 parents through an online newsletter that we send out. And we hosted free webinars and Q&A events at multiple high schools. Okay, so we have really good goals for the future. Number one, we're hoping to work with 250 students within the next year. We want to expand our mentor network so we have a college student at each campus representing us. And we want to partner with more Title I schools. Okay, so we'd love to get everyone involved. If this is something that resonates with you, if you think this is a cool idea, there's a QR code, so feel free to pull out your phones if you want to scan that if you're interested in getting involved. We also have different social media, so we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Cool, but thank you for your time. We look forward to working with you to help level the playing field and make college more accessible. So thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for me? Don't be shy.
Yeah, of course.
Any questions? Yes, what is your name? Aiden, what's up?
So as you're growing and you're looking for a new mentor, what's your strategy to that?
That's a very good question. So pretty much, we're looking for students who are involved on campus, who we like to review their resumes, so we're looking for students that have good GPAs, and students that are really interested in what we do. And then we have a training program that they go through, and if they make it through, they're pretty well suited to work with us. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, what's your name again?
I'm Nico. So
Nico, what's up?
you said that a way that you, I guess, sustain your business model is that you get donations from families? How do you necessarily get those donations? Like, how do you expand your cash flow coming in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we charge a fee for those families who we work with. And so to work with us for 5 sessions, there's a flat rate. And we're also willing to work with students one-on-one, just one at a time. But that's basically how we get revenue through that. And then we supplement the revenue through applying to grants, and then individual donations. Does that answer the question? Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Aiden, right?
yeah. So you said in the next year your goal is to get to 250 students. And as you shared, you got a pretty considerable grant from the government, I guess, for the purpose of marketing. So what's your strategy to grow your customer base?
Yeah, that's a good question. So growing our market base, yeah, so I think we just have to basically utilize that grant funding more. That's specifically for advertising, so we have to do more of that. And then what I really want to do in the next couple of months is partnering with more Title I schools, building those relationships, and I think things will quickly flow and spread through word of mouth even more. Yeah, that's pretty much, it's just partnering with more schools, getting our name out there, and it's a slow process, but I think that will work. Yeah, what's your name?
So, hey, Ruben, just going off of that question, what kind of incentive are there for people to be close?
That's a good question. So we work with Happy Valley Launchbox. Have you guys all heard of Happy Valley Launchbox? Yeah. So we did their accelerator program. That was a question that we got asked a lot, and we also did market research to try to address that question. So we went out and we asked college students what they like, whether or not it's to be paid or not to be paid. And we've kind of got mixed responses. So at the moment, everyone's just doing based on like a volunteer basis. But we're looking to expand that and trying to maybe work with more universities to do like a work-study program. Because I know, a lot of students are wanting to get paid for this too. So we're trying to work with both types of people, because some people just want the volunteer hours, but other people really need to support themselves through school.
Awesome. Oh, one more question.
Yeah.
One quick question. How are you going, Brad? How are you going about connecting mentors and mentees? Is it an intentional pairing with shared experiences and backgrounds, or is it random?
Yeah, we're trying to finalize that a little bit more, because it would be nice. The end goal, which we've kind of prototyped a lot, is being able to go onto a website, being able to answer a couple questions, like these are some of the universities I'm interested in, these are some of the things I want to study, this is who I am, and then it shoots out maybe like 3 mentors, and then they can pick to call one of them. So we're trying to finalize that. At the moment, it's kind of just random, like who's available, just matching them up that way, but we do want to finalize it, automate it a little bit more too.
Awesome. I think that's it. Thank you so much. All right. And next, we have Trudit for Keeper. Coin Keeper. Round of applause for Trudit, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, my name is Ruben Patel, and I'm founder of Coin Keeper. Do you know how much change is lost every single year? Anyone?
How much what?
How much change is lost every single year?
5 billion.
Okay, that's a bit more than. But it's $62 million worth of change lost every single year, and yeah, that's $62 million worth of change down in grades every single year. Today we will talk about how we are going to change that and how we're going to bring that number as close to zero as possible. At CoinKeeper, we have created a solution that levels the playing field for small local businesses by helping them build brand loyalty and by empowering their customer to save their spare change. While I was working as a cashier at one of the local convenience stores, I have first-hand experience of problems faced by retail store owners and seeing my customers struggle with their change. People are jars of coins sitting around in their closet for years because it's really hard to carry the coins, and the coin and the jars are inaccessible at the time of checkout. Coins are easily rollable from the pockets to engage with the activity, and that's why you see coins laying around in your home, cars, and sidewalks. And most importantly, people tend to ignore the value of coins and forget how much money they can save if they simply start collecting their spare change. On the other hand, I still remember many unplanned bankers which I had to make in the middle of the day to get more change or have an angry customer because we were out of change. And this happens more often than we would like it to be. And finally, it is really hard for a small local mom and pop store or a convenience store to have a technological infrastructure needed to provide a loyalty program because it's expensive. We have a total addressable market of $47.4 billion, which is how much coins in circulation in the United States on average every year. Out of which our serviceable market is $4.42 billion, which is the amount of change used by all convenience stores in the United States every single year. And if you're thinking, do people still use cash? The answer is yes. 33% of people about age of 55 and under age of 24 still prefer to pay with cash, and on average, a convenience store roughly uses $29,000 worth of change every single year. And our primary target market are convenience stores, and there are total 152,000 convenience stores in the United States. And this is as of 2020 by CPD, which is Consumer Price. So we have created our solution based on 3 key pillars, which is convenience, convenience, and convenience for our consumers and for our business partners. We have made saving coins as easy as scan, save, and spend. So next time when you are visiting a local convenience store, simply pull out your CoinKeeper barcode tag, scan the barcode tag, save your spare change, and spend that change as soon as the next transaction. As you can see, there is no other company who tries to provide a solution for all the problems faced by convenience stores and local businesses and their consumers. So we are trying to address all those problems to our service. Currently, we are working with Somerset and EE Chambers of Commerce to help pilot our program. We are also working with Penn State Technologies, again, to pilot our program and provide some mentorship. And currently, we are in negotiations with University Corner franchise, which is about 5 to 10 store franchise business, and we are also negotiating with Seraphim Food Market to do a pilot test with both of them. Behind this is myself, Pradeep Patel, and my co-founder, Kashish Shah, and we really want to solve problems faced by millions of people on a daily basis using our retail experience, technological knowledge, and business development. Thank you, and I'm open for any questions.
Hi, my name is Cody. Could you explain your product a little bit more? So I have spare change, I put it in the bucket, scan the barcode, and I have an account that counts that cash.
Yes, so we build a solution on the known consumer behavior, which is scanning a barcode for a loyalty program. So we use that behavior for which consumer already knows, and we try to mimic that behavior for your change. So when you visit a store, instead of taking your change, you will simply scan your barcode tag and not take your spare change. And you can use that change to buy anything from the same store as soon as the next transaction. So let's go, you visit the same store again, you can use that change collected over time of days or weeks, and you can use that to buy anything.
Thank you. So you mentioned the cost is $60. I assume that's on the vendor side.
So no, we would be taking all the costs. It's free for vendors, so it's free for business partners. While we were doing our customer discovery, we found out that our consumers, which would be the final user of the service, are more than willing to pay for the service, and so we have decided to charge 12% fee to them.
Yeah.
So whatever change they collect, it's going to be deducted by 12% as a service fee by us, and we would incur the $60 cost from that and take the money from them.
So the $60 fee is on the customer side.
No, so that's for us. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a hardware cost, so we would
Got
buy tablets, stand, and things like that. So we would just take that cost and hopefully recover it when through the service.
Do you guys plan to maybe now or in the future account for customers who might want to use their change but not at that same store where they got the change?
So actually, our initial plan was to allow stores to use their change at any of the CoinKeeper partner store. But if we do that, we would be required, we would be considered as MSB, which is money service business, because we would have to move money from one business to another business. So we have to take control of the money. And once we do that, it triggers the license requirements. And to get a license, you would need at least $1 million worth of bond. Plus, you would need owners a net worth of $500,000, which I do not have. And just so we are clear, I do not have that much money. And yeah, and the filing fees itself is $10,000. So that is not possible as of now, but in future, our plan is to do the same what you said.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so I like that you mentioned, you kind of addressed a question a lot of people might have, which is that is cash and change used that much? But I guess my question would be, is like as we move on, kind of the point cash paradigm switches more electronic payments.
Yep.
Have you thought at all about how to capitalize on those?
Yes, so we wanted to change how retail space works for small and mom and pop stores. So we want to actually subsidize the technology for the small mom and pop stores. And we have many other services in plan, which we can talk about, but all of those services require heavy capital to start providing that service. So this is our USP, to say the least. Like, this is, no one's trying to solve this issue, so we are entering the market with this service, getting a bit of capital in the business, and then we're going to expand on different services.
Could you expand on why businesses would pay for this and why the consumer is just okay with paying?
Yes,
Especially
so
when the solution costs are that fast.
Could you repeat your last question?
Stick to the first part of it.
Okay, yeah.
No worries.
So what we made the choice of not having business pay for the service, primarily because we want to at least make the onboarding as easy as possible, because we are dealing with two-sided market where we have to onboard the businesses to provide the service to the consumers. So we want to make the balance as equal as possible for both of the parties involved, and there's more benefit for the consumers to this service. So we try to make it equal by not charging anything to the businesses.
In terms of like convenience stores that don't have loyalty programs, if this mimics that,
this is their loyalty program.
So that is tremendous benefit for a mom and pop store or a convenience store. I would imagine that they would be okay with charging that, because then customers would come back knowing that my local store has collected my change. Oh, I wonder how much change I have left when you go buy an extra drink.
Yep. And that's just one of the business models we are still planning to. Like, we have two business models. One's charge a fixed $150. We haven't even decided the amount to the businesses per month for this service, or we can charge the consumers who are more than willing to pay, because on average, a person loses about 50 to 60% of change before they can go and put into a jar. So those are the two different business models we are trying to test through our pilot program. So we would have a clear image of what we want to do, but as of now, we are initially doing a 12% fee to the consumers for our pilot program, and then if that doesn't work out, we want to switch to the fixed cost to businesses.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay, seems like everyone has Okay. And with that, we're gonna wrap up the night with Hayden, who's gonna be presenting about Table Rock markets. So Hayden.
Hi y'all. My name is Aiden, and I'm a co-founder of Table Rock Markets, which is a farmers market pre-ordering system startup. So I'm going to go over a little bit who we are, what we've done so far, and what we're planning for the future. But before we do that, I'm going to go over a little bit of kind of the context for our solution. So the agricultural industry today has a lot of problems. And you may not think they impact you, but they do. Everybody eats, right? And so one of the big issues is that small farms have increasing competition and razor-thin margins that keep getting thinner. And so since 2007, over 160,000 small farms have been shut down in the United States. As you can imagine that range, a big part of that was the 2008 recession, but that trend has continued. And similarly, in environmental impact, almost 30 to 40% of the food supply ends up going to waste, so getting thrown out. And then produce travels over 1,500 miles on average. Now, for a little bit of context, that would be like the distance from State College to Denver, Colorado, right? And so as a result, there's a lot of CO2 emissions that come with the transportation of produce. And overall, in U.S. emissions, 40% of the emissions come from agriculture and transportation. So any way we can try to reduce that is a huge benefit to the environment. So this is not sustainable for a number of reasons I went over. So a little bit of backstory about who we are. Our founder, Jake Grimm, started working with a small farm near Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. And what he's trying to do is to help them sell online and take advantage of an increasingly online world. And in doing this, he noticed a lot of issues that come along with developing an online site. Now, this farm had the resources to build this online platform for themselves using Wix. But a lot of farms don't have access to that. And so they'll struggle to get into e-commerce in a financially and resource efficient way. So that's kind of where we come in. Our mission is to adjust farmers to a digital age, help them to increase profitability, and make selling fresh produce more sustainable. Our platform can be thought of kind of like the Etsy for farmers markets. Farmers can go onto our platform, set up a storefront extremely easily, and begin selling direct to their consumers for pre-orders immediately. So, how does this work on the vendor side? Well, the vendor signs up, they upload their inventory, they share their link to their customers, they can begin accepting orders, and they take those orders to the farmer's market. And this has a number of benefits for the farmer. They don't have to deal with any kind of complicated development or the costs that come along with it. Instead, they can go right onto our no-code platform, quickly set up their storefront, and keep doing the work they love with their farming. Additionally, this platform is accessible and equitable. There's no, it's easy for any small farmer to get into, regardless of how much they make or how much they sell. So, on the customer side, we provide grocery store convenience with the quality of fresh, local produce. Similar to a vendor, all the customer has to do is sign up. Then they can begin browsing vendors or select the one they know. Then they can look at products, build an order, and check out. And the benefit of this, going to the farmer's market doesn't have to be an occasional outing. It becomes part of a weekly routine, which creates a better user experience and also improves the health of these customers. So, how do we make money? Well, we charge a percentage on every transaction. We take 2%, and then we also take 2.9% and 30 cents for our payment processing. For payment processing, we use Stripe, and in doing this, we allow our farmers to keep their margins as wide as possible, passing on 95% of what they make back to them. So, in doing this, we provide a lot of positive impact, both to the farming industry and to the environment. So, we reduce emissions, and cutting down the amount that distance produce has to be transported by encouraging local sales, we help reduce the overall emissions associated with the transportation of produce. Similarly, we minimize food waste. On the vendor side, they know how much to bring to a given market, which enables them to not take additional unnecessary food and have to waste it. They can also use historical trends to predict in the future how much to take. On the customer side, they can plan ahead their orders and make sure they buy what they need and not extra, making sure they don't end up throwing out a lot of produce. And then we help small farms by giving them a competitive advantage. We reduce the barrier to entry into e-commerce for these farms. which allows us to compete in an increasingly competitive market. So, traction. About a year ago, we began development on the platform, and then in May, we had a soft launch. This was for a few customers just to make sure our platform was fine. In July, we had a full launch, and in the 3 months since then, we've had over $120,000 in orders, 900 customers, and we've conserved 115 tons of CO2. To put this into some context, that's $120,000 injected into local economies and local farms, 900 customers who are eating healthier, and the equivalent of over 100,000 pounds of coal, the emissions associated with that being reduced. So, given what we've done, what's in the future? Well, with agriculture, the sky's the limit. Like I said, everybody eats. There's over 1,500 farmers markets in the United States, and over 270 million Americans live within 10 miles of one of these markets, which means our target audience is huge. So, how do we reach these people and grow? Well, we kind of have a two-sided market, as you can imagine, with vendors and customers. But our strategy starts with the vendors. We onboard additional vendors who then can bring on their customers, which build our customer base. With an increased customer base, things like vendor discovery on our platform with our search bar become more beneficial to vendors, and in turn encourage more vendors to sign up for our platform. Not only do we want to grow our vendors, but we also want to continue development. Two of the ways we plan to do that to increase revenue is through point of sales and delivery. With point of sales, we allow customers to go to the market and use our platform directly to buy from the vendors. Similarly, with delivery, they can choose to get their produce delivered at home. In order to facilitate this, we partner with some kind of third-party service like Instacart, who has a developed delivery network and use their platform in order to get deliveries to the door of our customers. And we also want to continue making a bigger positive impact. One of the ways we hope to do that is to address food deserts in places like urban centers by giving farmers information on where the food needs to go and where there might be a demand for it that's not currently being met. Similarly, we want to help make produce more accessible for different socioeconomic classes, and in order to do that, we can facilitate transactions using things like Stripe. So, at Table Market, we believe in the future of agriculture, and the future of agriculture will be shaped by Table Rock Markets. Thank you. Any questions? No questions? Oh, sure.
And, as you expand to a bigger geography, how do you plan to keep up your quality control with the produce and with new additions of farms?
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of platforms, we have a review system, so it kind of customer reviews and customers evaluate it, decide if it's something they want. And also, as we grow, a lot of our, at least to start, a lot of our customers know the vendors they're ordering from, and so they kind of have that connection. But yeah, as we grow bigger, it definitely come down to the review feature, to let people kind of give their input as to what the quality of a specific vendor is. Anything else? All right, thank you.
And the clicker. No worries. Okay. Well, again, thank you everyone for. There we go. Now it's better. So again, we appreciate all of you guys joining us today. Great questions, great engagement, and I want to finish up with giving you guys again a snapshot of really what the schedule is going to look like for this week. And we have a lot of events coming up. I definitely would encourage everyone that is exploring for the first time entrepreneurship or just getting introduced to entrepreneurship to join us tomorrow at our keynote. If you're really interested in being a founder or understanding what it is to be a founder at Penn State, or even if you're just interested in any kind of career opportunity within entrepreneurship, definitely the Fireside Chat and roundtables is somewhere where you should be. But with that, does anyone has any questions about the schedule coming up before we jump to our last couple of slides? Perfect. So finally, I want to say a few words on Lion Launchpad. And Lion Launchpad is a student living learning community here at campus that runs every single semester. They're going to be starting next fall, actually kicking back on. This semester, obviously due to COVID, the past semesters, they had to suspend their activities.
But on fall 2022, they will start getting new lease opportunities for students that are interested in leaving this special leaving option. And this is really a great opportunity for you guys to leverage a lot of tools and resources in the unique makerspace that they have in the North Halls. You also get to live with, like-minded, inspiring students. In addition, you get to really build your network through either alumni, faculty here at Penn State, or even some mentors outside of the Penn State network. But they're going to be having on the 19th of October an open house for you to learn a little more about really what is Lion Launchpad, and they're going to be offering free pizza. So I would definitely encourage everyone to join them, and thank you so much for joining us today at blueStart.
No, just thank you all for coming. Have a good night, and we hope to see you at the rest of the events.
Stickers are here. You want stickers?
No. If anyone is interested in getting the blueStart booklet that has the schedule and a detail of all the events, right when you walked in the entryway, you could scan the QR code on the poster board right in front.
What are these?
Hmm?
Given to somewhere?
No. Where's the... Oh, there we go. Okay. Hayden said we were only giving them out to speakers and stuff.
Okay, and do you give the professors?
Wait, where'd Brad go? Shit, he left.